What's up, and welcome to the Unofficial Controller Podcast, the premium podcast, not just here in the UK, not just in the US, not just in Berlin, not just in Germany, not just in Uruguay, not just in Portuguese, not just in Australia, but all over the world for gamers who want to find out about good games to play, who want to find out about things that we've been playing, and want to know that you are not alone because this is the hottest gaming community around. As always, when George is not around, I'm your host, Seb, and joining me today is the man who's conquered a whole litany of Game Boy Color games lately. He's the guy who's, thrusted upon himself to be the king of the Switch, and he is my co-pilot, my goose for this show. He is Marathon Gaming himself. This is Scotty.
I can't believe you didn't mention the hottest podcast in El Paso. You covered every country around the world, but I suppose
I'm trying to keep the feds off of our case.
yeah, we're nowhere in North America whatsoever. No. We've got IPs going everywhere. If you know where Taiwan is, head a bit further out to sea, and we're on a little remote island somewhere around there.
Yeah, for sure. I was gonna ask you if you wanted to do the intro this week, and I forgot. I completely forgot. So, do you want to start over, and do you want to run it from the top?
Do that. I don't think you can top that.
The man. So, please excuse my ramblings, everyone. My mind's all over the place today, but we got a good show for you. We're going to be talking about some of the premium things that's happening across gaming, because this has kind of been a heavy news week in a surprising twist, because a lot of the world is sort of winding down, but gaming news is sort of winding up, coincidentally. But I want to start with the first story on today's show, because normally we start on what we've been playing, but the gaming news is so heavy this week. We're going to fly right into the topic of the show here. So
news.
So the first one I want to get your take on is the news for PlayStation, because I do have different segments for almost every system's ecosystem here. But first I want to start with PlayStation here. Let me show this to you real quick, and bada bing, bada boom, realest guys in the room. Here we go. All right. Can you see this, Scotty?
I can see that, yeah.
All right, for audio listeners, this story right now is an interesting one. It is, give me 1 second. All right, so this story right now is about the PlayStation Portal gets cloud gaming with no PS5 required.
So me and George brought the Portal at the right time.
Yeah.
Because the price, now that it's going to be so far in demand, I might start stacking them and become one of those. I might become one of those annoying resellers and scalpers. I'm going to buy every Portal. No way, I didn't.
Oh, what
were you saying? This is some breaking news.
Yeah, this is pretty big for PlayStation gamers. This story is coming to you from PC Magazine, written by Kate Irwin. Shout out to her. PS Plus games, or PlayStation games, including 120 PS5 titles, come to PlayStation Portal, so you can get the games on a $200 handheld without dropping $500 or more on a PS5. So, in other words, everybody, if you just have a PS Plus account, well, premium member specifically for this beta going on right now, it allows you to have select PS5 games on the PS Plus game catalog to be directly streamed from their servers without even owning a console. So some of these titles include Ghost of Tsushima, Marvel's Spider-Man Miles Morales, Marvel's Spider-Man, Monster Hunter Rise, Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart will be available through the cloud on the handheld. So, based on what you just heard right now, what are your first impressions or first thoughts? Because you're a Portal owner, right?
I am, and I got a Portal for one reason only, which I spoke about in the previous show. It was literally just so if someone else is using a TV in the family room, I can sit in another room upstairs, and I can play it. Or if my wife's watching something on TV, I can put the headphones and be in the same room, and rather than being separate. And that was the only reason why I got the Portal. And I was aware of its limitations, and I get that people thought it could have done more, but I was fine with it because I picked one up second-hand box for a very good deal for like 140 British pounds, and it's a fantastic system, great screen, sounds fine. The controllers are amazing. It's a lot more comfortable and enjoyable than playing handheld on my Switch. It is a really, really good machine. But I could see what was wrong with it. If you don't have strong internet, obviously that's your own personal issue if you haven't got really good internet. I myself have got good fibre that's going to be coming in soon, so I'm actually upgrading internet soon.
Oh, you're gonna
So
be
I was looking forward to
fancy.
that. Yes, but I did not know. I had no idea this is absolutely huge. I wouldn't be surprised if they didn't. They could almost use this to release another model, unless they've got loads that are unsold as stock somewhere in a warehouse and they need to shift them. This will give them a massive push for Christmas, I would have thought. Is this imminent, Seb? Is this literally like I could play Until Dawn and stream it? I couldn't because I had it. Obviously, I was streaming it, so I could only play my disc game. So I was playing Undisputed only. I
Mhm.
wanted to play Until Dawn, so I was playing it via cloud gaming at the time. But I couldn't because at the time the portal didn't do that. But now it does that. This is absolutely awesome, to be honest with you.
So let me give you some additional details right now. So for select games, depending on how fast your internet is going to be, like if your internet is 13 megabits per second or more, you'll be able to stream your games at 1080p. If it's less or between, like, let's say 7 megabytes and 13 megabytes, you'll be stuck at p. But 720p on that device isn't bad looking, to be honest. The controller haptic feedback will be present while cloud gaming, though, as well as the adaptive triggers, the speakers, the emulated touchpad, the motion sensor to give you that classic PlayStation experience, despite the smaller device. To answer your question, though, directly, this is going to be for select games right now. Like, so you have to have that PS Plus catalog membership, and so I don't think Undisputed's on that catalog right now, but like for everything that is on that list of games, you'll be able to stream without the
Yeah,
PS5
yeah.
being
Because
on.
obviously,
Yeah,
That's what I was saying. I've got PlayStation. I had it physical, Undisputed, but I
yeah,
wanted
for
to
sure.
play my cloud games. I was playing. I was playing Until Dawn, so I
Hmm.
wanted to play that on there. What else was I playing? I think even Dino Crisis popped up on there. There were some
Okay.
games that I wanted to play, but I had to wait for the big screen time. But with this now, this edition, honestly, this will not just help shift any more portals. They could bring out a Portal Plus or something stupid, even something better. But it would help. It would also sell a load more PlayStation Premiums because if you've got 2, 3 kids, right? The dad's got the PS5. Let's be honest. This is a good reason now to get a Portal for them for Christmas because now they can play as well, and you can almost
especially
share
if
it. You
you're
can,
Especially if
yeah,
you're in that PlayStation ecosystem pretty hard. Like at the price of a premium membership plus the portal, I would almost argue, just get a higher tier device because I think that's pushing closer to that 350, you know, 350 to between $400 or pounds marker. And I'd almost argue get the Steam Deck instead. But like if you're entrenched in that PlayStation ecosystem, this is perfect for you.
yeah. I think it's. I mean, you can pick one up for. I mean, I'm assuming you can probably get one for $150 or so your end. I think they're £200 new here, but you don't need to buy them new. There's so
Yeah.
many people. I wonder if people will stop selling them once they hear this news. I mean, that is
I think this will make it more in demand. I've
yeah,
always
for sure.
wondered. I've always felt like this was a niche device, a little more in demand probably than the PSVR 2, but then not quite as in demand as, most other gaming handhelds out there because it can't run games natively. This sort of bridges that gap a little bit, and that makes it a little more desirable, especially with have you seen the new gray model of the PS Portal?
No, I haven't.
Oh
I haven't.
man,
So they've got. So I was going to say, if they, I'm assuming it's just going to be an update you do, a software update. So you'll turn it on. When I next turn mine on, I'm assuming there'll be an update and restart it. But obviously, the portal's been out what 6 months? It's not even been out a year, is it? So,
if it has, it's been barely a year.
so they must have known they could do this. So why didn't they do it first of all? Is it because it was so they was expecting it to sell anyway, and this was something they had up their sleeve for something later on? I don't get unless they've had to find ways to make it work. But surely if they've come up with it within its first year, why didn't they do it at launch? They would have been so much more successful. That would have made everyone get the Portal. Surely that would have, because if you're not sure and you're in the fence, which a lot of people are, I'm sure now this will make people go, oh, actually. But once you've got bad reviews out there, it puts people off for ages, forever. So if you go on like YouTube, or whatever you get your reviews from, if you typed in PlayStation Portal first faults, let's be honest, there's as many negative as there are positive. But there'd be people now to be put off forever. So it's kind of almost a bit late for some people, because once they've got their mind up, they're not going to change their opinion. But if they had this at launch, you probably would have seen 90% positive reviews. There wouldn't be as many skeptics, because there wouldn't be too much negative things to say.
Yeah, I agree with you for a lot of that. I do think you're right about like this sort of changes the viewpoints of people who initially reviewed it and said this is such a niche device that only has like
Yeah.
very little usability for the common consumer, and now like it does have a little bit more adaptability as far as like what it presents to the average gamer. So I do think like those reviews are a little outdated now. I also think like to your point, this does make it more desirable. On the counterpoint, though, I do think like the reason why they probably didn't present these updates like initially at launch is more so because I don't think they had the server capability yet. I think like
Right.
PlayStation
Okay.
like I know they've had cloud gaming for a little bit, but like they're still experimenting with cloud gaming as opposed to where like
Yeah,
Nvidia
you're
and
right. You're right. They're not Microsoft, are they?
yeah.
So they haven't got the. You're right. Actually, it's a good shout.
Yeah, I think like they're still kind of getting their feet in the water as far as like what they want to present with cloud gaming. This is I think a huge step forward, but this is also catching up to something that Microsoft has been doing on Game Pass, especially with the ultimate membership for I'd say about 2 years now. With Ultimate you were able to stream anything that was on whether it's Game Pass Ultimate, at least the console edition, and play it on your phone or using the backbone, using the external controller, pretty much everything you had that you can connect to the internet with at one point. This is kind of what I was going to lead to with the next story, and that is, have you heard about the Xbox news that everything is an Xbox now?
I haven't, but this. Before we move on to that, this could be testing the waters with PlayStation with its streaming on its own hardware. This could be testing the waters. See if how it works, like you say. See if they find their feet. Does the servers work? Does it support it? Could we see on the Switch 2 a PlayStation Premium app where you're playing it through Nintendo? Imagine if they did that. Imagine if they crossed their swords, Nintendo and PlayStation.
Here's the reason why I don't think that would happen from PlayStation's
Don't
point of
ruin
view.
the dream, Seb. I've already pre-ordered it on this. We love a rumor on this show.
We do. But so here's the thing: what makes PlayStation and Nintendo a sexy option as opposed to Xbox right now? It's the exclusives, right?
Croc the remake, baby.
Croc the remake, exactly right. But like it's the exclusive catalogs. Like what would the Switch be right now if all their games, like all their first party games, all the first party Nintendo games were on Steam?
Well, nothing.
I'm not gonna say nothing because they do have the brand identity of Nintendo behind them. Like that brand is still strong. But for the hardcore gamer, like, do you know how harder it would be for the hardcore gamer to choose picking up a Switch 2 if all the catalog of the Nintendo games for the future are already going to be day and date on PC as well?
I know for sure. Yeah, you're splitting the audience. I was looking at what it does for Nintendo fans already there, but I don't know. It depends how you look at it, doesn't it? For Nintendo fans, it's great. But then yeah, I don't know. Yeah, who wins? You don't know. Who would get the most gain out of it? Nintendo only. So would PlayStation need to do it? Is it worth their while? Probably not really, because they might
No,
end up in the future losing people to Nintendo in future generation consoles and IPs and stuff. So when you look at it like that,
yeah. So I'm like,
it's a dangerous game.
So, if you're PlayStation right now, and I know some listeners are probably thinking, well, PlayStation has already put their games on PC, but for the most part, they do a cool little cadence of like putting their games on console as consoles exclusives, and then later they're able to double dip into a new market with the PC market, and some of the PlayStation players who want to play it at a on a more premium, system being PC or on their beefed up PCs, they actually like get to have their cake and eat it too. Like they get to sell Ghost of Tsushima like initially in what 2020 and then like in 2023 resell it again on PC. Same with Spider-Man, same with Spider-Man 2, Ratchet and Clank, the Uncharted collection now. They're able to have their audience sort of like we can have a PlayStation audience that we're growing on PlayStation because we still have the exclusive catalog. But then later on, we can grow the brand a little bit more and have a new audience come in by adding the PC library to it. So I sort of like that better than what Xbox has been doing because I think Xbox has sort of diluted their brand. Like if you are able to play Xbox games on PC day and date, right? Like Xbox exclusives, why do you need an Xbox?
Yeah, well, I think we spoke about this previously, where we said so. We was joking, saying it's coming on the fridge,
Yeah.
and we did say that. We say, but we think that might be the route they want to go. Do they want to go software only, and they want to just be everywhere? I do remember we talked about that because I think, yeah, I mean, I think we were saying how much money do they put into, because you've got to think you've got to have factories, warehouses, employees, engineers, manufacturers, so much manufacturing, packaging, storing, transit, and logistical issues. And I think we spoke before as well, saying about how much of an issue it was for PS5 and Xbox Series X because of COVID. And there was lots of disruptions with logistics. And there's lots of rumours as well about the Switch 2 being delayed because I don't know how many numbers they're going to sell. There's a bit of a theory and a conspiracy that they already know what they're building and they're mass packaging it now and it's being stored somewhere, so they've got enough because you don't want that scalping situation happening again. So I think I mentioned it before. It could be a good thing from Microsoft point of view because they're already doing the Steam thing anyway. If they did have their apps everywhere, it's still because the money really is probably. I know there's money on the consoles, but I'm sure I don't know how it works to the rights. Like I don't know enough about that side of the industry, but I would have thought there's enough, and there's very little risks and costs and paying out going. If you can remove the console and you're well established, your software's everywhere. At some point, would you need it? Would it go all digital?
So
We
check
spoke about
this.
before. You can play games, Seb, on the Fire Stick and TV, smart TVs. You can play Sonic on there. I don't even
So
need my Switch anymore.
so check this out, Scotty. Like check out this commercial. For people, the audio listeners, I'll describe it to you. There is an Xbox they're showing that says this is an Xbox. There's a phone they're showing that says this is an Xbox. This is a commercial, by the way, the latest commercial. There's a Steam Deck that says this is an Xbox on the Steam Deck. Computer, ROG Ally. It's food. Now it's like your phone with a controller
Yeah,
attached to it. It's showing
it's
that all
everywhere.
these devices are Xboxes. And this is the latest Xbox campaign. It's called This is an Xbox.
Where did you see that video? First of all,
Oh, this
that's
is on
in,
Xbox. So a little context, everybody.
yeah.
So Xbox put out a new marketing campaign. They're switching and pivoting gears. So in their latest ad campaigns, they're not advertising just their Xbox console. They're advertising everything that the Xbox console can be played on, or your Xbox games can be played on. The commercial description. This is from Xbox's
Yeah, that's a
official YouTube.
fantastic. Yeah, read that. That sentence is brilliant, Seb. That sums it up. Read that one. That second one.
Yeah. This is from Xbox's official YouTube channel. It says whether you have an Xbox console, PC, Samsung Smart TV, handheld mobile phone, Amazon Fire Stick TV, or even a MetaQuest, you have an Xbox. In fact, you're probably reading this right now from an Xbox. So it is a show-stopping library of up of iconic franchises and upcoming games, including Call of Duty Black Ops 6, Indiana Jones and the Great Circle, Avowed, and Flight Simulator awaits you on your Xbox of choice. So, Xbox right now is pivoting a bit from what they have kind of been putting out there as far as like their ad campaigns or lack thereof. Xbox didn't really advertise very well, but their latest marketing campaign is telling you that you don't have to buy a console. Everything is an Xbox. If you have if it has internet basically and you can stream to it, you have an Xbox, whether it be a TV, a Fire Stick, a fridge, handheld, a mobile phone, a PC, even a VR device like a MetaQuest. So
Like we're at the sci-fi age of gaming. It doesn't matter if we like it or not. It's happening, and we're here and we're in it. This seems almost surreal. The last two stories that you've read, like it makes perfect sense. But I feel like this is an advert from the future, Seb.
yeah,
It's
so
bizarre.
this is kind of why I wanted to pivot from the PlayStation story to the Xbox story, because this one, it shows how far streaming technology has come. Like the ability to stream your games to any device you really own, as long as it's capable of streaming games and streaming things from the internet, is here. Like if you're the type of gamer who has good internet, there is more flexibility out there for you now more than ever of like how you play your games. And not just in the past, it used to be that there was dedicated handheld games like the PSP, the Game Boy Advance, DS, and all those kind of games. They were niche titles that focused on very specific games in the market. They were made specifically for the handheld market. You're able to play games like Diablo now on Halo. You're able to play Call of Duty, God of War, you name it. You're able to play it on the go now. These big, beefy 182 gigs plus games that you're able to just stream to whatever device you want to. It's incredible. It's scary, but it's incredible. What do you think about all this, Scotty?
It is exactly what you said. It is scary and it's incredible. I do. It feels like it does. It feels like sci-fi. Like we knew this was coming, but we've been talking about this for ages and ages, like the crossover and the possibility of it happening. It would make sense, but now that they've officially, like we've known this for a little while, but now it's officially there and it's a marketing campaign. And I'm watching this video for our YouTube. I mean, this is a great reason why to check out Unofficial Controller podcast on YouTube, because you get to actually see this as well, what we're watching right now. Um, it does feel surreal. I feel like I'm dreaming, like watching it, but not necessarily in a massively excited, fantastic way. It's just we're living in a moment where this is a huge crossover of gaming. Like this is a big step in a direction that's we knew was coming, but this is it's like we're at the edge and we've all been talking about it. No, it's coming, talking about the pros and cons. No one wants change, no one likes change, but it's going to make it more accessible for everyone. So there will be pros out there for everyone, but now it's like, okay, we're not at the edge, we're going to take a step on that platform, and now we're actually in it. It's happening. So I mean, where are we going to be this time next year? How much it's exciting in a very scary way, because obviously we love our games, we love physical games, we both collect games. I'm myself a hardcore retro game collector, so it's very scary. But I mean, we know it's going to it's inevitable. You just got to jump on the bandwagon with it, I guess, and hope it takes us for a good ride.
We're kind of, like you and I have had a lot of similarities lately where like we've discovered we have a lot in common. The crazy thing is, like, this is probably one of the things you and I differ on, because I don't collect games, if I'm being honest. I collect digital games. I don't have a physical library anymore. And
Huge, yeah, you got a huge digital library, haven't you? Absolutely
for sure,
huge.
massive. But like it's one of those things to where like I do not know if I think I own like 3 physical games right now, just period across the board as far as like like I think at my mom's house I still have a old school like physical collection sort of games that I played when I was a kid, but like as far as like the actual like at my house, I don't have any physical
Yeah, no,
games really.
I'm sorry to tell you, Seb, but those games at your house, family home, are no longer there. I did hit Mumsy up and I sent her my address and she posted them all to me.
That's understandable. That's understandable. They were collecting dust at my place anyway. So yeah, it is. I think the real story coming out of the Xbox news, though, at least the Xbox, this everything's at Xbox now, is they're pivoting. They're not playing the same game as PlayStation, Nintendo, where they're trying to sell you your console. Their console is now their ecosystem. I think is the bigger thing to take from this. They're like PlayStation makes games to help sell a PS5. Nintendo makes their Nintendo catalog to help sell the Switch, and it's worked well. These two, the PS5 and the Nintendo Switch, have moved hella units throughout their lifetime, and that that's worked well. That strategy has worked well. Xbox hasn't put out a litany of solid exclusives of the last two generations, so they their console sales weren't great, like in comparison to their contemporaries in the market, like so this is them pivoting and saying, "Hey, we're no longer going to be selling just a box. Like Game Pass, the Xbox ecosystem, that is our console now." Like,
Yeah, it makes sense if they're struggling to compete and it's hurting them in terms of losing some money. You're better off, like, say they're, which they maybe they have been the last 3 years. Maybe they are really third in a two-horse race in terms of hardware. With PlayStation and Nintendo doing so well. So I guess why hurt yourself trying to compete when you're not going to take the top spot? You know, both those consoles are doing very, very well. Like PlayStation sort of seem as the cooler of the two. And Nintendo's, for the first time, has picked up more than just a family audience, and it's managed to put some pretty cool games on a system that before was known as something for kids. So if they're struggling to keep up, it makes sense to try something new now and go in a direction that these other companies probably would have headed to in 5 to 10 years' time. So they're kind of making that. It's a smart move, to be honest with you, from Microsoft, I think, because like you say, they're already losing, so you might as well try something different.
why play the same game as everyone else if you're in last place? And it's one of those things. But I think I do wonder though, like it's defeatist mentality. It's basically saying, we can't win, so we're just going to change the rules. But it's also
I don't
it's
know. They could do clever, like when Nintendo and Sega, and then had that proper rivalry, and then
yeah.
Nintendo was going. So what is it? Sega does what Nintendo don't, and all that. They did that cheeky commercials, didn't they?
Mhm.
I mean, a perfect opportunity for Microsoft to poo all over them right now would be, because the PlayStation 5 Plus has obviously struggled a little bit. I saw a comparison video the other day, and someone played the Spider-Man on both consoles. The consoles are blind. He played both of them. He couldn't tell the difference, and then he guessed which one he thought was the new release hardware, and he got it wrong. So he couldn't tell the differences. So this is a good time to say we don't need to bring out the PlayStation. What's it called? Sorry, PlayStation Plus. I've got in my head.
Of
What's the
PS5.
PS5 Pro? They can say we don't need to make an Xbox Pro. You can play your Xbox Pros on your fridge, or it's on your phone, it's on your TV, it's on your tablet. I mean, it's sort of swaying. So people are moaning about how much a PS5 Pro is costing. I mean, Xbox could use some clever marketing and go, "Hey, man, we've got you. Don't buy a PS. Save your £600 or $600, 700 actually. I think, isn't it, with taxes? I think it's quite expensive. Save your money, and you won't need to spend anything at all. Just sync your account and play on anything as you go." And you think about it, it's letting other parties do the hard work for you, because TVs are getting incredible, and like your phones, like the technology on iPhones and stuff, like the cameras and how good the screen is, is absolutely remarkable. So all you're doing is you're getting free. It's there for you. They've created the hardware for you. You're just jumping off the back of it. And let's be honest, it's only going to get better and better. I mean, we had a big jump, didn't we, from to OLED not so many years ago, and it's becoming the norm with. Think how far TVs have come. We used to have like plasma technology, LCD. Things are coming thick and fast, and now we've got such high quality that we're starting to see it in tablets and phones and laptops come over. So
So
quite clever, really.
let me ask you a couple questions. I think this is an interesting conversation. I want to pivot a little bit, but I want to kind of get your read on something here. You know, you're you're a physical game guy. First of all, do you play any cloud gaming?
I do, yeah. I play cloud gaming for modern games because
What's your
I
portal?
don't. Yeah, well, and straight, Game Pass
Okay.
or via PlayStation Plus and PlayStation Plus Premium, and that's because of just FOMO and stuff. Seb, there's so many games, not enough time, and I haven't got the resources financially to buy every big game I'm interested in. So me having that subscription gives me a chance. Because the amount of games I've played for 10 minutes and gone, cool, I'm glad I didn't buy that.
Yeah, for
I
sure.
didn't spend the money. I mean, Until Dawn's a fantastic example. I think physical, it's like 50, £60. Um, and I've pretty much played through it in a month. If I brought that, I mean, it's not one of those games I probably want to. I wouldn't keep the modern games really unless I'm really passionate about it. I want to play it again. That's not a game you'd really play again, that type of genre. So it makes sense to play that via streaming. So yeah, I do stream games. It does have a purpose for me for sure.
So you so you have all three ecosystems. You're entrenched in all three ecosystems right now. You're a PlayStation person with the Portal, the PS5. You have a Switch, obviously, because you're the king of the Switch, and then you have an Xbox Series S or X.
X. Yeah.
X. Okay, gotcha. So I want to ask this. How often do you play your Xbox right now? Do you think that's the least of the three, or do you feel like it's
Yeah, it is, but it varies. So I don't want to be biased because this is just me as a personality. I will get really into something, one or two things, and I'll play that, and then I won't play anything else. So, for example, I've got loads of retro stuff, but at the moment I'm loving Game Gear and Game Boy Color. Nothing's getting a look in. However, I know in 3 months' time I'll be playing 360 or Mega Drive or
okay?
NES or Dreamcast. It does vary, and that's the same with the modern games. So at the moment, I'm literally just playing Switch or for any physical releases that come through the door, because I've had a couple come through lately, quite a few actually. And then I'm playing PlayStation Plus. Now I haven't played Game Pass for a little while. I actually deactivated the account for a few months, but when Call of Duty dropped, I got it back.
Did you
So
try it
I
out, by
do
the way?
vary. I need no. In
Yeah,
long
you.
answer, I played it, didn't I, for about 30 seconds. So I do. I hope to play it and the campaign, but no, I haven't made time for it only because I've had some other games which took my interest, which I've been playing.
That's fair.
So, but yeah, it would be unfair of me to say Xbox is the least I'm playing. However, right now it is the least I'm playing. But when I first got the two consoles, I got them basically at the same time. Like within a couple of weeks, I got the PS5 and the Xbox. Straight away, I played Spider-Man. No, that was it. I put Spider-Man. The console arrived, the
Uh-huh.
Spider-Man version, but the game you couldn't play for a few weeks. They had a code, so I basically played Diablo. I think was released at the time on the Xbox. It was all Xbox. I went to the PlayStation. I played Spider-Man 2 loads, and then I left it. I think I tried out RoboCop. I tried a few modern games, couldn't get into them, and I went back and I was all over Game Pass again for a couple of months. So right now, I would choose PlayStation over Xbox, but I wouldn't want to say
No,
it's
I'm
in
not.
my
I'm not saying you're
preferred
biased
because
or
yeah,
anything. Yeah, I was.
in 2 months' time, I might say, oh, I've not played the PlayStation for a month because I'm a creature of habit. Seb, once I forget about something, it's well gone. And then all of a sudden, there'll be a game on Game Pass, like Call of Duty. Say I do get into Call of Duty, I'll play it, I'll finish it, and then I'll be going through the rest of the catalogue on
Yeah,
Xbox.
I
That's
get it.
just
I get it. It's more of a you hop to whatever kind of piques your interest at the time, and I think that's perfectly understandable. My third question, because I do want to lead into another topic here. I'm curious, out of like all the games that I would this is a more modern game question. When you see a game that you want, upcoming game or like a game like Undisputed, are you more likely to buy that on the for the PS5, like or the Xbox?
At the moment, PlayStation 5, only because I
Gotcha.
have my collector's head on a little bit. And if it is a very good game, I know historically values stay higher and greater on the PlayStation over the
Okay.
Xbox. However, when it's a game across three consoles, I tend to pick the Switch version because I
Okay.
enjoy playing it on the go. So there's a game, for example, a remaster game, which we'll talk about in a bit, and that's come out on across all three. And I got it on the Switch, so I can play it handheld, and I've played it handheld more than I've played it docked, like playing it in bed, for example. However, with the PlayStation Portal now being something in my possession, I kind of wish I got it in a PlayStation just for the better graphics.
That makes sense. So the reason why I asked is because we do have another story that I want to bring to your attention, and it is also another cloud streaming story.
Oh my god, there's no clouds left in the sky. You've pulled them all on this video.
Man, it's the console wars are dead, everybody. It's now the cloud wars. But
It's a streaming wars. I think that was a South Park film, wasn't it? The streaming wars.
yeah, yeah, for sure. So this story comes from The Verge, written by Tom Warren. He's a senior editor, breaks a whole lot of stories. Really, really good read and a good writer over there at The Verge. But I digress. So Xbox Cloud Streaming expands beyond Game Pass to the games you now own. So you can now stream 50 new games from xCloud servers if you own the titles and have a Game Pass Ultimate subscription. So this is massive because like on the last story we just read on PlayStation about the PlayStation streaming, any game that's on PS Plus, you basically had the ability to stream to the portal specifically. Now you have Game Pass on the other hand, who already had this ability. If you were a Game Pass Ultimate member, you can basically stream your game on anything that would basically play it. Everything's an Xbox, is what we just read on the last story. But it was limited to just what was on Game Pass. The Game Pass library. That was understandable. Like everyone kind of got that and sort of pushed on. But now Xbox is starting to open up Xbox Cloud Gaming to existing Xbox games libraries starting today. This story was written, by the way, on November 20th. So, as of this recording, you already have these capabilities, everybody. Xbox Game Pass Ultimate subscribers can now stream 50 games that they already own, including Balatro, Baldur's Gate 3, a variety of Final Fantasy titles, and Hogwarts Legacy is amongst those 50 games. The expansion to 50 more games is just the beginning of opening up the Xbox game library to cloud streaming. This is coming from Ashley Misak, who is a corporate vice president of Xbox's experiences and platforms engineering department. She says this: our library of cloud playable titles will continue to grow as we work with our partners around the world to bring you a diverse and expansive selection of great games across devices. So, the additional 50 games will be available through your TV, smartphones, tablets, PC, through a web browser. Microsoft is also planning to bring the Xbox library streaming to Xbox consoles and the Xbox app on Windows next year. This expansion is part of a long running project known as Project Lapland inside of Xbox. I revealed last month that Xbox or Microsoft in this case, is planning to start letting Xbox insiders get more access to more games on Xbox Cloud Gaming in November. These initial 50 games are the start of the eventual expanding this to thousands of Xboxes to cover the entire library. Dang, this is a meaty story, everybody. I'm gonna get I'm gonna get Scotty's take on this. His internet just died, so bear with us. You'll be dealing with me. I'm kind of solo in the meanwhile while Scotty's internet resets. I digress though. This is an interesting story, everybody. Xbox is not playing checkers, they're playing chess. They are putting more and more games into their cloud system, which will allow you to play games anywhere. Their strategy here of everything's that Xbox is coming to play. They want you to not have to go to PlayStation, not have to go to Steam, not have to go to any other ecosystem because they want no matter how you play games, whether or not it be like on your phone on a bus on during your commute to work, whether or not it be on a plane if you have Wi-Fi, whether or not it be on a train or on a boat, as long as you have internet, you have an Xbox available to you if you have a device that runs internet. And I think that's so interesting. They're not playing the same game as Xbox or PlayStation and Nintendo anymore. Nintendo with the Switch 2 is going to want to remove as many Switch 2 units as possible. PlayStation with the PS5 Pro, PS5, and likely the PS6 is going to want to move as many units as possible. And they're going to be playing the exclusives game, both Nintendo and PlayStation, in order to get you in those ecosystems, in order to keep you buying their latest consoles. Xbox says to hell with buying my console. It's a risky move, but when you're in third place, you got to take risk here. You know, when you are on the bottom, you have to take risk in order to get up to the top. They want to they don't want to play by the same game they've been losing at. They want to change the rules of the game completely. I don't hate this. I think this is a smart play by them. I think this is something that many companies have been trying to do originally. It didn't quite work with Google and Stadia, if you remember that debacle. I think Amazon with their Luna cloud support hasn't necessarily hit the ground running. I do think there is an audience there that does play games on Luna. I tried it out myself with Star Wars Outlaws and thought the experience was okay. It wasn't the best in the world. It wasn't like the end all be all, but I thought it was a pretty decent experience running Amazon Luna through running, Star Wars Outlaws through Amazon Luna. But I digress. I'm curious on what people think. I'm curious on how many adopters are going to be playing the 50 games, the list of 50 games on their, streaming device of their choice. If that's going to be a big wave of people and they're going to see a success on that, or if this is going to be like a small sample size. Let me see if I can pull up the games that you can own, the list of the library here. Because I think that's an interesting thing too. I think it's strong starting off with Baldur's Gate 3 and some of the other games. I want to see if I can find a list of the 50 games from the outset though. All right, so let's see if I can find that list.
Me
Okay.
loud and clear. Sorry
You're
about that.
so I found the list. There are 50 great games coming today. This article reads. Let me see if I can pull this up for you. Guess who's back? Back again. Scotty's back. All right, so I wanted to, I was talking to the audience there, telling them my feedback on, Xbox's new game and how they're playing the I guess you could say the ecosystem race more than it is the console wars. Like I don't think the console wars as we thought of it exist anymore. I think it's more of a ecosystem and brand competition still though. So the story about you being able to play 50 games on Xbox as long as you own them and you're Xbox Ultimate subscriber, I think it's fascinating. Like, let me read out some of the games for you, Scotty. Animal Well, Assassin's Creed Mirage, Avatar: Frontiers of Pandora, Balatro, Baldur's Gate 3, Banishers, Ghost of New Eden, Call of Duty
He'll
Modern
be
Warfare
all over
2
that.
from 2022, The Casting of Frank Stone, Cyberpunk 2077, Dragon Quest 3, the HD 2D remake, Dredge, Dying Light 2, Stay Human, Farming Simulator 25. Shout out to you, George. I know that will be your mumsy. Fear the Spotlight. Fear the Spotlight. Final Fantasies. Let's see. Final Fantasy 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 14 online. Hades, Harry Potter Quidditch champion for all you sweaties that want to play a garbage game. High on Life, Hitman, World of Assassin, Hogwarts Legacy, House Flipper 2, Kingdom Bridge Spirits, underrated game by the way. Harry Potter's Lego collection. That was all right. Life is Strange
I really want to play
Double Exposure,
number 40, Seb.
Metroid
I really want to
Exodus,
play that.
Mortal
Stray.
Kombat 1, NBA 25, PGA Tour 2K23. There hasn't been any more since 2K23. That's crazy. Phasmophobia, Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown, really good game. No one bought it though. Okay. Coming up. Yeah. So we have Rust, 7 Days to Die, Star Wars Outlaws. Shout out to you, George, again. This is evidently a George list right now. Stray, The Crew, Motorfest, The Outlast Trials, The Plucky Squire, a game that Scotty has probably bought, I think, 3 or 4 times by now. The Witcher 3, The Wild Hunt. Tom Clancy's The Division 2, Top Spin 2K25, Undertale, Visions of Mana, Warhammer 400, 4,000, 40,000. I can't read right now. Space Marine 2, and NBA or WWE 2K24. So that's basically it. You know, if you
I think
own
it was
these
already
games,
on Game Pass or
as long
PlayStation.
as you have
I've
them
seen
on
it
your Xbox
been
account,
around
you
for a
can
while.
basically pull them
Do
up
love
and
mechanics. It looked
hit
interesting.
that little cloud button and start playing these immediately.
I just forgot about it, and then
out
this
of all
was
these
months
games,
ago,
I
probably
think you
6
said
months
you
ago
were
or
most
so when I heard
excited
about it.
You would be
But
most
then I know
excited
it
to play
got released
Stray.
on the Switch, I think recently, about a week or so ago. It looks. I've heard nothing but good things about it. To be honest, it's one of those little fun games, and you go, like Untitled Goose Game, where you go around causing mischief. I think it's a bit from that sort of. It's a bit like that. So the things you're doing are cat related. It just looks like a fun, different game. Sure.
Yeah, for sure. I will say it's a bit. I think it's a bit more puzzle focused than Untitled Goose
I've
Game,
played a
but I
few of
think
them.
it's like
I played like Outlast
yeah, but
games, and
I think they're
you'd
both
hate those.
fun
They're
in their
very
own
scary.
right.
Plucky
I'm so
Squire, I
curious,
think, is
man.
a
It's
super
like,
rare game.
do you feel like you out
Yeah,
of
I've
any of
obviously
these?
Hades,
One, do
Final
you own
Fantasy.
any of these?
There's
And
some
two, do
Hogwarts
you feel like
Legacy.
you're
Yeah,
going
I
to
do own
stream
some
any
of
of
them and
these?
played quite a few of them. I've actually got Life is Strange. I've still
Okay.
never played it. There's definitely some great games there. For some reason, I thought I wasn't too
Oh yeah, for
impressed.
sure.
I thought this was already a thing. I thought you could already. I thought with Steam and stuff and Microsoft accounts. I thought this was already a norm. I thought this was something that was already. Yeah, I thought this was already something that was possible. To be honest with you, I just must have overlooked the fact.
With Steam and stuff. Steam allows you to basically stream any games you own from from one PC to another. Like Steam doesn't necessarily grant you the ability to basically say like, "Oh, you own this game. We have a hosted server. You're able to stream that game through our hosted server." Like, so like take for instance, I have a game Paco, and I'm playing Paco on my PC right
Yeah,
here,
okay.
right? So I'm like, I want to play that game on my Steam Deck. I can stream that game via my Steam Deck from my PC to my Stream Deck, my Steam Deck, but it would still be playing on my PC in another room. It's like the Portal, but in like Nvidia Cloud Gaming, if you own the game in anything you're connected to, like with the Nvidia account, you're able to basically play it via the cloud. You don't have to have that game physical. Like, say for example, NBA
Yeah,
2K25.
yeah.
I own that game on my Steam account. my Steam account is hooked up to my Nvidia account, so I'm able to play NBA 2K 25 without even having to download the game. It's basically I'm playing that via the cloud. Does that make sense? Yeah. So it's one of those things to the technology is there. It's not like it's slowly trickling out to consoles though. And even in the PC market, like there are some instances like you can play your Steam games via the cloud or play like Amazon Luna is another good example. Like as long as you have a Ubisoft account and you can go to Amazon Luna and play any Ubisoft game without having to actually own those games. Like so if George wanted to get sweaty and play Star Wars Outlaws, all he had to do was sign up to like a Ubisoft Plus account and he could play that game on his laptop,
I
on
think that's
his
probably why George isn't here
PC. He
tonight on
could have
this
played that
recording. I'm
game on an
assuming
Xbox. Anything he was able to
he's
connect
discovered the
his
news about the
Amazon Luna
Portal
account
having
to,
a
he
streaming
would be able to
system, and now
cloud
he's playing
stream that
Farming
whole entire game.
Simulator
God
remotely.
forbid, I don't know why you would want to, but
He's probably,
if he wanted to
knowing
play
George, he's
more
probably in a
Outlaws, he
combine
like that, he
harvester,
could do that.
out
But
back doing Longhorn's Garden, doing actual real farming whilst playing Farming Simulator. He can't get enough of it. He's no downtime. He's like, I can't cut these crops quick enough. I need to do it virtually.
I can absolutely see that. Yeah, that sounds like him. So I want to pivot to our final story of the day. It
I've got the
is,
list
and
ready.
then
Yeah,
we're gonna
I've got
get
it here.
on to like our people that we're appreciative who have joined the UCP family by donating generously to help further the UCP cause. So while I read this story, can you get the list ready, Scotty? All right, sounds good. All right, so the Game Awards is one of the biggest shows in gaming of the year. A lot of people tune into the Game Awards show for upcoming games that they're excited about that will be debuting to see. They're also tuned into the games as a winter showcase to see the new game trailers that come out every single year. If Jeff Keighley is going to be putting out something massive, some people like tune in because they like the award show vibe. They like the Oscars and all that kind of stuff, and they want to see what games win in their respective categories. This year, not unlike previous years, is riddled with controversy. Last year, I think like there was a whole snafu about like whether or not Dave the Diver was an indie game, and it was nominated for Indie Game of the Year. The year before that, Sifu was nominated for best fighting game of the year. Didn't win, but it was nominated. People had a lot of opinions about that. This year, the Game Awards controversy is about
Okay, I can't see
a
that.
new
What's wrong with
edict
that? To be
that sort
honest,
of was
showing
released
a bit
before
of
the nominees
appreciation.
came out for the Game of the Year and for all the other awards. And that is that they're allowing DLC and expansions to be considered in the running for Game of the Year awards. So let me give you the other side of the fence there, because I can understand your point of view there. So here's the reason why people were upset. And so for the Game of the Year awards, which is happening in December of 2024, the Game of the Year category is described as recognizing a game that delivers the absolute best experience across all creative and technical fields. This year's nominees for Game of the Year at the Game Awards are Astrobot,
Hold on.
Balatro,
Is there not one
Black
more
Myth
that you've
Wukong,
forgotten there, Seb, on the
Final
list?
Fantasy VII, Rebirth, Metaphor,
You're joking
Refantasio,
me.
and
Undisputed's not
Elden
on the
Ring,
list.
Shadow of the Erdtree, the new expansion for Elden Ring that came out earlier this year. So,
Yeah.
now it's just a 6, sad.
RGT wants Dredge. He wants Dredge.
No, George would be mad that a lot of people are mad about this one. George would be mad about, Farming Simulator's not on there, MLB's not on there, and Star Wars Outlaws is not on there. You're probably upset that Undisputed is not on there. RGT is probably Yeah, RGT is probably more upset that, like Harvestella is probably not on there, even though they didn't come out this year. Maybe Dredge, even though that came out last year as well. He's still playing catch up with his back catalog. Understandably so. Everyone's back catalog gets filled up. Let me tell you about the controversy about this, though. Why people are in a tizzy online, especially on, Twitter X and all the other social medias. Should a DLC expansion win Game of the Year when you had other games that could have been considered? Or is Elden Ring a 2-year-old game at this point, taking the shine away from something else that could have used that limelight? You know, to be nominated for Game of the Year in an award show like this is not only an honor, but also probably gives a little bit of to your sales, like your publicity is free publicity and such like that. Did Shadow of the Erdtree need either of those? Does it also need flowers when it won Game of the Year 2 years ago from a lot of
What
outlets,
Elden Ring
including
did,
this one that we're talking about right now, the Game Awards,
right?
where it won
Is
Game of the
this
Year, where it won
is this
best art
DLC a
direction,
free
where it
DLC,
won best
or
soundtrack,
did
where
it
it
pay
also
for?
won,
Right.
like I think it cleaned up with the most awards that year as well. So Elden Ring, yeah, it was Elden Ring, and I think God of War Ragnarok were like the big two, and Elden Ring cleaned up. No, this is a paid expansion that you. So to give you a little context, Shadow of the Erdtree, you had to, in order to basically play this expansion. It's not like other expansions where like you you have to own the game and you automatically get to play it if you own the game. This expansion, you have to own the original Elder Ring, and then you have to get like 85 to
I've
90%
not. I've
finished
heard a
with
lot
Elder
about
Ring,
it and
which is
seen people
already like
stream it. You know, some of the big
80
boys
to 100
over in
hours
the
into this
US.
game. And
I've
then
played an Elder
you have to beat
Scroll,
a
like one of
very
the different ones.
selective
You know, load
boss,
of different.
and that opens up the
Yeah,
path to
completely
the
different.
expansion. So it's not like.
I
So
get
Scotty, have you ever played Elden Ring?
the reason why. I mean, it sort of changed the argument a little bit straight away. I was going to say the fact that I think it's really nice that they've been given an award for a
Elder
game that's come
Scrolls,
out a
completely
couple of
different
years ago.
franchise.
So I thought
But
it shows that they're
so
paying respect for someone that have built on a game and they've got a fan base there and they managed to expand it, keep bringing out new content. I think that's great
no,
and
no,
something that,
yeah,
all developers can learn from, because it might be a lot to make a second game. So if they can expand it and keep the lore and, they're building a game and someone's playing games a lot of time later. I mean, even The Witcher, like with a Wild Hunt, I like that, and I think that's a nice thing to reward. That something different. It's something that we're seeing a lot of. Lots of games, if they do very well and got a good fan base, they have DLC to keep it going. However, especially if it didn't win an award, so it wants to show, no, do you know what? This game's ready there now. But the fact that you've said it won loads of awards previously, that kind of seems a bit pointless, to be honest. Because they've already had their awards. It seems, it does seem very unfair. If they've already won similar awards previously, and now they're just getting an award for that, completely changes the argument. To be honest, you saying that makes me think that is very harsh. And if I had a game which I was very proud of, and it was beaten by a game that's already won an award, and now it's getting an award for the DLC, that would upset me as well. To be honest with you, I hope it doesn't, and I hope, like I say, I've heard a lot about it, and a lot of people have been playing it, so it deserves to be nominated. I get what you're saying. It took a nomination if there can only be 6 spots, but maybe the 6th spot there was nothing worthy. It'd be interesting to know what the honourable mentions would be. What would take its place? Let's go down that route. What would you take that out for instead of?
and that would. So I like that game. I like that game. So I think, okay. So let me play a little game with you. I like to, because I think like that question is so intriguing on multiple levels. I find it fascinating
Good
that
idea. Yeah.
Shadow of the Erdtree took up this spot, and
This is
I
turned
think
into the
that's a
Ponzi's already. It's like an
well
early
put
treat.
question of like what would take its place. So here's what I'm gonna do. I'm pulling up right now the best games of 2024 right now, right? Of 2024, and
Okay, good idea.
yeah, it's almost there. But like, I'm going to do that best games of this year primarily by the Metacritic, which is a collection of all the reviewers' points of what had the higher scores this year. All right, oh, all right, so Elden Ring, Shadow of the Erdtree scored a 94. It has a Metacritic score of 94. Same as Astrobot right now. Same as Metaphor Refantasio. Like all 94s. At 92, you have Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. At number, and then like to drop down to the next nomination, you have Balatro at 90, which is one of the nominees right now. And honestly, the lowest score on this list, let me scroll all the way down here. Let me see if I can find it because we're at 80s, 88s, 87s. All right, so we'll keep scrolling down. We'll keep scrolling down. We made it to 86s right now. I'm doing this for a purpose, everyone, so bear with me. We're at 85s right now. 85s. We're going down the list here. We finally made it to 84s.
Okay, so there's a lot of
At
games rated higher.
80, it still hasn't popped up yet. Everybody, we're missing a game here that was nominated for Game of the Year, but it still hasn't popped up yet. At 80, looks like 82 right here. We have Black Myth Wukong at 82. So my point being is no, actually 81. So 81. Black Myth Wukong, lowest, by the way, the lowest nominated game for Game of the Year metascore of all time right now with an 81. Above it, though, here's some notable games above it. Notable, by the way, because there's a lot of games above it, but notable ones.
Yeah.
WWE 2K24
Unless
has an
they have
82.
one from each category, but then WWE,
That
there's no
one's more
sports in
notable.
there, is there?
Recently, Age of Mythology Retold has
obviously
a 83.
Yeah.
The Plucky Squire. You remember that indie game that just came out?
Okay.
83. Yeah, there's a sports category. There is a sports category. Dragon Age 82. But let's not play that game. Let's
What
go
did
with
college
like
football get?
the
Seb?
actual like realistic shots and who should
Oh,
probably
okay. I thought
realistically
it was
be there.
higher. Right, okay.
With an 80 score of 87, Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown. Silent Hill 2, which came out just semi recently, with an 86. It's right there at 80. So slightly below it, but so slightly below it. Dragon's Dogma 86 as well. Another game, Dragon's Dogma 2. A game people were talking about at the beginning, towards the beginning of this year. Animal Well, the indie game that a lot of critics seem to love. 91.
Rule of a
Thank
Gun?
goodness you're here. The
Did
UK
it make
game
it into the 70s?
where
Nah?
it's basically shouting out about a
Nah.
North English town is 90. Tekken 8 90. So Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth 89. God, unfortunately, Squirrel with a Gun ain't gonna make this. Squirrel with a Gun, it didn't review very well. If I'm being honest, it turned out to be a little bit more mid collectively. Persona 3 Reload 87. So here's the thing, though. To your point, though, what would you take Erdtree out? I would almost argue, what would you take Erdtree and Black Myth out for? Black Myth sold very well in overseas in the Asian markets, really well over there. Not so well over here. Sold decently, but not as well as it did over there. So it was a popular game because of that. But it's the lowest rated reviewed game that made any Game of the Year list since they've done the Game Awards back in 2014. Ring, Shadow of the Erdtree. It took up a spot.
Well, unless it's going to
That
win.
could have been
If they're
Tekken's spot.
saying
It could have
it's
been
the best
Prince of
game,
Persia's spot. It could have been Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth
Elden
spot.
Ring, and it's because it's got. At the end of the
It could have
day,
been
I mean,
another indie game with Animal Well, which scored drastically higher than
it's been influenced, Seb, right? Think
Black
how
Myth
many, like
Wukong.
I've said,
You know,
I've seen loads of Elden Ring because so many big streamers have been streaming it. Now, you have to pay attention sometimes to what the big streamers do because at the end of the day, it's free marketing for the industry. It boosts sales
Here's
for
the question,
games, for
though.
consoles. It puts out, it showcases these games. So I think you have to, it's not quite corruption, but you have to look at what the big streamers are playing. So I think that does, if it's a multi-billion-pound industry, isn't it? Some of these like iShow Speed and Kai Sinet and some of these big streamers that have been really playing that game and completing it, they get absolutely millions and millions and millions of views. It's a lot of revenue. And I guess they've probably got to listen to where the audience is with that. That might have potentially a bit of influence on it.
let me ask you a question then. Let me ask you like a serious question.
It means it's not been a great
If
year if you think of it. Like you say,
the
quickly,
industry
if you look
awards
back in
Elden
5
Ring
years'
Shadow of
time,
the Erd Tree,
and you went,
expansion,
especially from the year before, but we kind
an
of said that, haven't we?
expansion
Like
as game of
last
the
year
year.
was naming all the
What is
releases.
that?
There was like 10
what
game of
narrative
years
does that
last
say
year.
about this year in
But
games?
was naming like Spider-Man, all the different ones
if
that come
you
out,
put-
which we sort of forgot about.
Yeah, but what are you saying? You like, just to be frank here, you're saying Elden Ring Shadow of the Erd Tree, an expansion, just the expansion, $40 expansion, is better, is a better value, is a better game, and is better quality.
Maybe they've looked at it like that.
Final
They've
Fantasy
looked at it as
VII
Final
Rebirth,
Fantasy. They're
then
looking at it as an
Metaphor,
old game that's been
then
remade. We want to stop
Balatro,
that.
then
Balatros a
Astrobot.
card game. They're going, hold on a
Like,
minute.
you're
This is
saying
like
there's
a
no
mobile
other
phone
game worth
and
game of the
Astrobot,
year.
that's just a
Basically, you're saying
a new
no other
addition
game's
to
worth game of the
a
year
game
this
that
year.
was
So we'll give
showcasing
it to
how
an
a PlayStation
expansion.
5 controller works.
That's a
So
bad
maybe you
look.
look at it like that. It has been a bad year for games. Yeah, I don't know enough about. I completely understand when you said. Well, I thought, oh no, that's fair. It's been, it's given a chance. It's got a nice following. It's done expansion. It's done well. But I didn't realise it won loads of awards previously. So that does take the.
But Metaphor is there.
Yeah.
I'm like, but Metaphor is there. Like a Dragon's there. Tekken is there. I'm like, here's my thing. It's like, I'm okay with giving Elden Ring Shadow of the Erd Tree and all those developers who worked hard on it their earned kudos because they did something amazing. Like, instead of you making the caveat of saying like DLC and expansions are eligible for any award, just give them their own damn category. Instead of like, here's my thing of saying, okay, we have a best game direction category, a best ongoing game category, best art direction, best mobile game, best narrative, best performance, score, audio, adaptation, multiplayer, independent game, indie game. I don't know how that's very much different. Most anticipated game for next year, best role playing game, games for impact, action adventure,
that's
best
a good
action,
idea.
best fighting, etc., or family game, and best sim strategy game, best sports and racing game. We got all these categories. Just make a best expansion category. Make a best expansion category. Like, they make expansions every single year. In that category this year, you could have had Destiny, the final shape. I believe that was the expansion for Destiny this year. You could have had
definitely
Elden Ring,
Yeah, I
Shadow of
didn't
the Erd
realise
Tree.
those
You could
were.
have also had
Didn't realise those were all the
what's the other
categories.
one?
100%, they should make that
Vessel of
a
Hatred
category.
from
So these are where
Diablo
they've
this year. I'm like,
handpicked
those are
the top
3
6 by
major
going through all of
expansions
these
that have come out this year.
subcategories.
Major
So
expansions.
they should have definitely have. Yeah,
Just have those have their own category. You can give kudos to it without taking away someone else's shine. Yeah, so I'm like, so here's how it works. The industry votes on. They have industry panelists from a whole bunch of content creators, a whole bunch of like games journalists vote vote like a couple of weeks ago. And from those tallies of votes, whoever got the highest 5 or 6 in the respective categories move on, and that's the official nominations. They already probably and based on that number, I think after 10% of the fan vote comes in, like the fan vote, you can vote right now. You and I could have voted. And 10 and I like our vote would have counted collectively with the rest of the populace for 10% of the actual vote. In the end, all after all that's tallied together with the industry's vote, that's how you get the winners for each and every category. So, in layman's terms, unless there's like a small 10% margin of for each and every category, we know what the game we like they already know what the winners are going to be for each and every category, you know? Unless there's a very small margin there. So with
yeah.
Astrobot,
It'd be.
let's say
I
Astrobot and
might have to. You know,
Erdtree
when
were
people
neck and
say,
neck.
like
The
in the new
fan
year, they make a
votes
little
might
resolution. They're like,
push it
I'm
towards
going to read
one.
a
But
book a
if
month or something. You know,
Erdtree already had like
I might have to set myself a
40% of the
task of trying to
vote
play
and
every Game of the
Astrobot
Year
only had
nomination,
20%, Erdtree's winning. You know
just
what I
so I can
mean?
see what I'm missing out on. I mean, or maybe pick one from each category, or go through previous years.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm not putting the Switch in landfill, if that's what you're going to say.
Ooh. Here's my suggestion. I think you should start a clean slate going forward of like no. I wasn't gonna mention that. You know, like I think instead of going back and playing all these games in retrospect, because like I'm I'm seeing a lot of the games that right here are very specific towards a
That's
very
true. Yeah,
specific type of gamer. Instead of doing that, I say going forward, if a game really appeals to you and it has like a high review score of Metacritic for next year, you should want to jump on the train next year because next year is like the year for games. So my proposal would be like, yeah, and it's more like it's more
yeah.
general
I'm not a
audience
good enough
focused.
gamer to play those.
Astrobot, unless you're a platformer, you're not gonna like Astrobot, a platformer guy. Unless you're a Souls person, like you're not gonna like Elden Ring, and Black Myth has some Souls like qualities to it that you probably wouldn't get along to. I don't think I am either. But like Final Fantasy and Metaphor is a JRPG. Like it is unless you like JRPGs, don't play
I knew
Metaphor.
you was
And
going to
Final
say that.
Fantasy
Yeah,
7,
for
you're gonna
sure.
need to do 60 hours of homework before you play that because this is a sequel to Final Fantasy 7 Part 1. The only game that's accessible for you right now to where no homework's required and it's a general audience game, anyone can play it, is probably Balatro out of that list. But next year is a different year. You got Grand Theft Auto, you got a new Assassin's Creed, you have,
Yeah, I
if it
think you're
does
right. I've
come
got to
out,
book the whole
Wolverine.
spring off
You
just for
also have
GTA.
a likely a new Star Wars game. You also have Nintendo's whole library of first party games that they're putting out with the Switch too. It's a different beast next year. I think just don't worry about this year. Start fresh next year is what my proposal for you. Yeah, that sounds good. So Scotty, we're running a little long here. Let's get to the community appreciation part of our show where we like to highlight the people who so graciously have
Yeah, I've got
contributed
the list of
to
names.
the
I've got
UCP.
the first
And
one
you can
right
join the
here, which I'm
UCP
going to drop
family
in.
and contribute as well if
Is
you
the
so
one and
happen to
only, the
want to do so.
legendary
But remember, the
Carlos
show is always
himself.
free. You would
Is
just be
Carlos the one
helping
man
us
George
to
fan
grow
club
and
as well?
expand further. Scotty, without further ado, do you have those listed names for me?
Interesting.
All right.
Then we've got Firm Returns.
There's rumors that
No,
Carlos's
I've not. It's
allegiances
just
might be
these
switching,
two
so we'll
were
see.
added, and I didn't
We'll
want them
see.
being missed off, so I've just read them
Yeah.
first.
All right. So I think the next one would be Trestle's New York.
Bada bing star. Digital Monkery.
Okay. I think I'm reading a different list than you.
The Gaming Grand.
Gotcha. Good looking out. Trestle's New York. Tingle Tana.
Never running out of voices over here. The Seal.
Roasted
Slippery. Seal himself, straight popping his head out of the sea, looking around, back underwater, having a little swim, because he's a seal. It's Seal Master Elliot. See, I've switched it up.
The Switchman himself, Marathon Gaming.
I thought that was G-Unit coming in. I thought 50 Cent just dropped a new banger. She's as sharp as they come. It's Emma Sharp. Now, this man is more elusive than the CIA finding our location. And we will never tell anyone where we are. There's no way you'll ever find us. We're in El Paso. Come find us. Now, this man, he's nowhere near Berlin. And I've given up the search because I know I'm never going to find him. I've started just digging down. So I've got a huge hole out in the yard. Longhorn's given me the smallest shovel and the smallest spade. And I've heard that his location, he might be in a tunnel. So I'm finding you. One day at a time. Waldo. Then it's the RGT fan club, also known as RGT's mum.
Word is, he's as elusive as Carmen Sandiego
Billy
and
Marmite,
Waldo.
my favourite type of naan bread, as we discovered recently. Big up, Billy Marmite.
Next up on the list,
Mumsy. Simon Pryke, baby.
Perkers.
That was very anime, that was good. That was very anime. I thought I was in...
Take the next one as well.
Yeah, that was good.
Friends. Zen. Yeah. We like doing these voices, don't we? All right, so everybody, those are our soldiers in the front line who have graciously donated to basically be read out every show. Remember, you can join at that $3 tier to have your name read out at every show. The $5 tier will get you read out on every show, plus art merch yearly. And then at the $8 tier, you get read out on every show, art merch yearly, and access to the Unglorious chat. So don't miss out on all those tiers. If you so happen to want to join the UCP Nation, just go ahead and click in the link in the description below, and you will be able to do so. So without further ado, we're going to skip what we've been playing this week because we're running a little long. We're going to talk about what we hope to be playing, and we're going to
couple of limited run games.
Scotty, so I got two questions for you.
What
are you hoping to play?
I never finished it on the 360 back in the day.
This week?
Been very enjoying that. But yesterday I opened up.
I like to throw that spice.
Or the day before, it was a new Rugrats game. So I love Search for Reptar. They've made a new one. I think it's just called Adventures in... Can't think of it. Adventures in Funland or something like that.
Okay.
And you can play it modern or in 8-bit graphics. So I even released it on a... That's it, Adventures in Gameland. What did I say? Oh, do you know what? That might be the sequel. Or maybe I got a dodgy version off AliExpress or something. But yeah, they've even made it compatible. I think you can get one that even works on your NES. But yeah, I bought it for the Switch. It's
Adventures in Gameland.
Really looking forward to playing that. And the next one they're sending me is
Adventures in Funland. I mean, that's
for the first time. Yeah, so it's the original Super Famicom version, but it's been translated to English American. So before it's in Japanese. So unless you were 4 years into Duolingo, you've got no chance. And now you can actually enjoy it. So yeah, I'm going to play those. And I've got so many Game Boy Color games that have come through the door, and this is an exclusive. I ordered literally not even 8 hours ago a huge bundle of Sega Game Gear games, and two of the games paid for the whole bundle, and there was 40 games, and two paid for it. You're going to see that on a future video, and I'm sure I'll talk about it in the show. So very, very excited for some more. I'm loving the handheld gaming at the moment. I'm absolutely loving it. And now we've got handheld gaming
Sega.
on the portal that you can stream. And now Xbox is everywhere. Anything's an
Wow.
Xbox. I might even just take my microwave on a bus, because even that's an Xbox, apparently. Yeah. But
Okay.
what do I want to watch? I know what they are. We don't have them, but you can probably find a hot pocket. But the thing is, I'm not patient. I'll burn my tongue. I'm not patient at all. What do I
Yeah, you
want to
can heat up
watch?
a
I
hot
really
pocket while
enjoyed
you play some
bit of a
games.
segue here. I really enjoyed the
You don't
Penguin
have hot
series.
pockets over there?
That was
Okay.
amazing. Me and the wife watched it, and we absolutely loved it.
Okay.
That was so good. So I'm kind of in a hunt for a new series, to be honest.
Okay,
So any
that makes sense.
recommendations from anyone on Discord, or even yourself, Seb? In terms of films, I watched an old
Woohoo!
film yesterday. I just found it by accident. You know, when you want to watch a drama, you want to feel something. I checked out what films there were. There was nothing new that tickled my interest. You know, I do want to get to the cinema, see Gladiator and stuff like that. But yeah, there was. I watched an older films. Yeah, for me, it'd probably be a TV series. I think would be what I'd like to get into. But yeah, I'm open to recommendations.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Okay. Okay. All right. So everyone, what I'm hoping to play this week, I just finished Metaphor. Really good game. I think it's a little 10 hours too long, but really good game. I am going to probably go back and try to play a little more of Dragon's Dogma. It didn't hook me earlier this year. Maybe it'll hook me a little bit more as I dive into it. I've been playing a little bit more of
I know what you mean. You want to get. You mean when you can't get into something? I know exactly what
Aria
you mean.
History
It's a bit
Untold. It
frustrating.
is not quite scratching the itch that Civilization left, so I'm probably going to bounce off of it. Hoping to play. I'm really just in the limbo of trying to find something I'm hoping to play. Dragon Age didn't quite. Dragon Age don't feel Dragon Agey to me. Yeah, yeah. I especially on the high of beating a game you like so much, like finding that next thing is a little bit tricky. College football has been really fun for me. Trying to restore my alma mater, shout out to Stephen F. Austin, and trying to raise it
Yeah,
up
that
from
sounds
the
really in depth. Actually,
low tiers of a
you talked me
one-star
into that
program up to
already.
a
Is that in
five-star
the
university has really been entertaining, and the recruiting process of trying to actually bring in solid recruits to elevate my school has been fun. Yeah, so I'm sort of looking for my next big story game though. You talking about college football? Yeah, so I like myself. I like going into the dynasty mode, and I went to school here in Texas at a small school called Stephen F. Austin. We're not good at football, really good at basketball. We made the NCAA tournament a couple of times in the last decade or so, but in football, we're a small program, so we're like 1 star in the game. Like there are other
That's
schools that are
cool.
1 star, but I wanted to
Yeah,
start with
I
my
like the sound
alma
of that.
mater. But so as you go along, as the head coach, you can basically revitalize the program by recruiting people who are like 5 star recruits, 4 star
Yeah,
recruits, and trying to get them to come to your program to basically elevate your program. Like if you're yeah, if you're a 1 star school, it's really hard to get like 5 star recruits to come to your school, so you have to kind of slowly build the program up by introducing these 2 star and 3 star like studs and maybe diamonds in the rough, and sort of like building them up and then building the program up. You have to build your school up via the academics department or the athletics department. Like you have to try to find different ways to appeal to each individual student, and whether it be like the
yeah.
quarterback position or the defensive end position, kickers and such like that, you kind of have to be really strategic on how you want to do all that. So I think it's fascinating. I love the game. I'm a big football person myself, but like
I
even
have
if you're not a
actually
big
because
football
yeah,
person, I
that's
think
come up
like
quite a few times.
the
I
if
just
you're a
don't know why
management
I haven't
person, I think that
gone to
mode
watch
is
it.
a
So yeah, I
big
have
plus
heard
for
of
you.
Tulsa King. Yeah.
On that front though, if you're still in the mood to watch a gangster type show, because I know you like the Penguin, have you heard of Tulsa King? Jumped on it? Yeah. So Sylvester Stallone, like it is a show about him being like a mobster who just got released from prison out there in New York. He goes back to the mob. They don't want no part of him. They send him to Tulsa, which is not quite by El Paso, but kind of, like it's right here on neighboring Texas. But like so they send him to Tulsa, and he decides to build an empire out here in Tulsa. So very similar to the Penguin, who wanted to
I'll
basically
check it out, mate. Yeah, I will do. Thank you
revitalize
for that.
the empire, build his empire in Gotham. This guy's building an empire in the city of Tulsa, Oklahoma. But like,
I've
yeah, I think
enjoyed it.
it's interesting. It's funny. I think a lot of the humor from Penguin transfers over to Tulsa King. So if you like that
Yeah,
show,
I'm all good.
maybe
It's just very, very, very
yeah,
cold and
yeah. So
bitter
if you like that, you might like
on this
that one.
side of El
Yeah.
Paso,
Outside of that,
unfortunately, at the
yeah,
moment.
yeah. I
I
think
know on
this
your
has been
side of
a
El
really
Paso
good
it's a bit
episode,
warmer,
Scotty.
but
I
it's freezing here.
always love, always love talking to you, man. What anything, everything going on well with you this week?
I wonder what star the old El Paso would be on college football. Probably half a star because Longhorn's a quarterback and a receiver, isn't he? He's all
Yeah,
positions.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Maybe
he
the
does the
good pastor
blocking,
Longhorn will allow you to
and
cross over to
sometimes
the
he
other
sacks
side.
himself. He
Not,
doesn't know what he's doing.
next week. Oh,
Yeah,
yeah. He has to throw. He throws the ball up in the air and just runs and catches himself with his big strong arm.
yeah.
Yeah, I don't think he's a sports guy, if I'm being honest. I think running a cult is probably as much as he can handle. So, everybody, this has been the UCP podcast this week. Pastor is warming up his good old guitar and everything like that, signaling us that it's time to wrap up the show. Remember, I've been Seb. You can find me at Sebastian SPE on all the socials, and look up the Single Player Experience podcast if you want more of my works and to hear further about good single player games that you want to be playing. That man over there, he is the Scotty too hottie of the show. He is Mr. Marathon Gaming himself. He is the king of the Switch. He is the goose to my
Yeah, I normally
Maverick
do one a week.
of the UCP. So
Thank you,
I
Seb.
want
You
to
are the
shout out
hamster
his
to my
his
wheel.
use-
I've always wanted to tell you
YouTube
that.
show and the YouTube channel where you can find out about all the good retro games and all the other Switch games he's been collecting. He posts very good videos. I think he's posted 2 recently, right? Uh-huh. Thank you. Thank you. So everyone go check out his great YouTube channel. You can find it Marathon Gaming on youtube.com. Everybody, this has been the Unofficial Controller podcast. And remember, there's nothing wrong with having the unofficial controller. It's what you do with it that counts. From
Still
my
says
family to yours,
still
happy holidays if
says
you
it's
do
recording.
celebrate
It
Thanksgiving
said
if you do not
99%
have
the
a
whole
Thanksgiving
time at the
episode to
beginning.
listen to next week. Until next time, though. Peace, everybody.
George and Seb rolling down the road, RGT riding shotgun a heavy load. Pastor Longhorn waiting to unfold. In El Paso, Texas, tales been told. One arm big, a sight to see. Pastor preach, set you free. George and Seb, they bend the knee. RGT nodding yes in glee. Join the cult in El Paso town, where Pastor Longhorn's got his crown. One arm high, the other down. We're the wildest show around. Sunday's hot, the desert air. George and Seb, both feel the glare. Longhorn's words hang everywhere. Salvation found without a care. Sunday's hot, the desert air. George will say both feel the glare. Longhorn's words hang everywhere. Salvation found without a care. RGT plays a sacred tune. Underneath